So you've got around 100,000 new users over the past 1 year, right? So can you quantify what is that single biggest channel that really brought you these 100,000 folks?
So by far, the single most important channel is word of mouth.
Okay.
These are people, and there's a lot that can be said about word of mouth. People tend to dismiss it because it's not very easy to measure. But it's either people that discover text plays, love it, like, where was this all my life? This is amazing. And they can help themselves from telling their colleagues or friends or their community on social media. So that is by far our biggest driver. And there's a lot to be said about that because our ideal user is the one that moves beyond the free version and become a paying customer, and we can talk more about that.
Yeah. So
Uh,
let's do that actually. So I want to sort of want to understand first, right? So when you say word of mouth, I know there are multiple ways that people can sort of listen about your product, right? So but how are you, right? So sort of controlling that aspect. I mean, you've got to be doing something right? So
yes.
what is it that you're consciously doing there?
So, okay, so that's important. So what are we doing? I'll start simple and I'll expand.
Yeah.
We're creating the best product possible.
Sure.
And we're creating the best product possible for the user that first signs up and just wants to get the value and not worry about us too much.
Mhm.
And so and that is important because there's a difference between our top users and the users that just share and contribute to the word of mouth. Of course, our top users are the most excited and they contribute a lot to our word of mouth, but it's the everyday users that are not very sophisticated that drive word of mouth as well. And it's important because there's a trade-off between that sometimes and encouraging other growth channels that can be easier to measure. So,
Yeah.
for example, I can have a referral program, and we do. Can have a referral program. I can send emails. I can create incentives to get them to become paying customers, and so on. All of those can somewhat hurt the user experience of casual user.
Mhm.
And so we're investing a lot of time and effort and thought into how do we keep a casual user experience great so it doesn't hurt the word of mouth. And we sometimes hurt
No, yeah,
other
yeah. So I get that you're nailing your value proposition and your
Yes.
users are absolutely loving it. That's okay, right? But just I'm trying to understand what's that incentive, right? So for example, if I'm a user and I love your product, I'm using it on a regular basis. But why would I go and spread the word? You've got to be incentivizing me somehow, right? Or maybe you're doing
No,
something.
but
You.
that is the key. That is the difference between word of mouth and referral, right?
Sure.
Like referral, and we have a referral program. We provide an incentive.
Mhm.
The incentive to do word of mouth for the most part is because you can't believe that your colleagues are not using this app. Like they should just use it because it's great and it's free and it adds so much value.
Mhm.
And that is what I think a lot of people get wrong because if I incentivize you, then some people that would otherwise refer me or, through word of mouth will not do it
Sure.
because there's an incentive program. Because I tell them, please do it, I'll pay you. They will not do it.
Yeah.
And so that is key. Most of our growth
So
comes from users that are not incentivized to drive it.
all right. So you're saying apart from building an amazing product, you're literally doing nothing to sort of
I'm
make that.
doing a lot.
I
I'm
know. So,
doing a
so
lot. I'm confident
what
that
is it that you're doing?
I'm also always trading it off against the initial
Sure.
user experience and the value proposition and how that extra growth channel can hurt that initial thing.
No, no, no. I understand. I'm not talking about your other growth channels. I'm talking about your pure word of mouth success that you've been experiencing so far, which almost drives 50% of your, it's driving a lot, right? So now the question
Yeah.
is, apart from building an amazing product, is there anything that you're consciously doing apart from obviously not doing, not investing in other growth channels that is, sort of giving you this huge success?
Yeah. So, there is so after I made that point, there's some, so the multiplayer, of course, is a big driver of that as well. Um, text based by definition is very personal, like it allows you to automate your work. Multiplayer is not that natural of an expansion, but we do allow snippets to be shared. You can turn them into like shared documents where multiple people can collaborate on the same snippets. And that really helps because that allows teams to align and we allow it
And
on the
do you
freelance.
have
So
any powered by something like that on that plan?
no, because snippets, we try that. We want to create as much virality as possible, but again, like people can use snippets, not, for example, to send full emails or full messages. Sometimes
Mhm.
it's just a sentence
Yeah.
within an email. So we can't inject power by text
Yeah.
plays anywhere. We looked into that. But we do allow multiplayer where you can collaborate on shared snippets. So that really allows teams to use text plays as kind of the data blaze of how, the data of
Yeah.
how they communicate with customers.
But is that the primary driver, or is it just working as a secondary one?
It does drive it, and so it does drive word of mouth. It also helps people adopt the business plan
Mhm.
because that's a huge value proposition for teams and companies. Being able to align on shared language, being able to help new members of the team onboard faster.
Yeah.
So it does drive growth, but admittedly, it's not the main driver. The
Sure.
main driver is just this is great. I'm going to share it with
So
my
there's no secret here. All right.
no.
So before
Well,
we
I think that that's the secret. Like,
all
go
right.
ahead.
So before we close this top of funnel discussion, I just wanted to understand one thing, right? So when you say word of mouth, right? So what are those primary distribution channels that people use to sort of spread the word? Do you know about those?
So it's mostly people within work. They just turn around and tell their colleagues. And again, like I think that a big one is when, and that happens regularly, is when it kind of become one of the standard tools that a team use within the company. So anyone that joins the team immediately gets onboarded. And then when someone leaves the team, goes to another company, they're already used to text plays.
Thanks for watching the B2B SaaS podcast channel. I believe that the best way of building SaaS companies is by regularly talking to real founders who are out there building their companies. These founders have gained tons of insights during their journey, and I'm here to bring those to you. So if you want more such stuff, please make sure to subscribe to the channel here.